In this video, we're going to continue learning how to solve trigonometric equations, but this time with multiple angles. So a reminder from last year that multiple angles occur when the period of the given function is not 360 degrees or 2 pi radians. The period, remember, is the length of one cycle of the given trigonometric function. So for example, if we look at y equals sine 2x, that has a period of pi radians. Okay, so that's 2 pi divided by the 2 here. Okay, now obviously if we were working in degrees for y equals sine 2x, that would have a period of 180 degrees, so 360 over 2. If we had y equals cos 4x, that has a period of 90 degrees, because it's 360 divided by 4. And likewise, if we were working in radians there, that would have a period of pi over 2, which is the equivalent of 90 degrees. So let's take a look at an example then. So example 1, we want to solve 2 sine 2x minus 1 equals 0 for x lying between 0 and 360 degrees. So for our solution then, okay, so obviously we've got this equation 2 sine 2x minus 1 equals 0. I'm first just going to have a wee quick look at what the graph looks like, because it's always good to relate everything back to the graph. So this is the graph of 2 sine 2x minus 1. And it's where it's equal to 0. So here's the line y equals 0 here, that is the x-axis, and we can see that it cuts the x-axis 4 times, so we are expecting 4 answers here. Okay. Now for this equation here, now you'll notice in the range in the question I was solving between 0 and 360 degrees. Okay. But at the moment I'm actually trying to solve for 2x firstly. So if I solve for 2x between 0 and 360 degrees, when I go to divide by 2 at the end of the question, I'm actually going to only have answers between 0 and 180 degrees. So you can see that would only give me 2 answers, which isn't correct. I actually have 4 answers. So I need to just now solve for 2x between 0 and 720 degrees. And that will allow me at the end to divide by 2 and get my 4 answers. So just make sure you adjust your range at the beginning, and it will make sure, or it will help you get the correct answers come the end of the solution. So adding our 1 to both sides and then dividing both sides by 2 gets us sine 2x equal to a half. Now again, I have alarm bells going off in my head because I know that a half is an exact value, so I need to bear that in mind just now. So sine 2x is equal to a half, which is a positive, so that means my answers occur in the first and second quadrants, and that's because that's where the sine graph is positive. So one answer will lie here between 0 and 90, and one answer between 90 and 180, and this is for solving for 2x at the moment. So inverse sine of a half is 30 degrees. I know that because it's an exact value, remember. So the first quadrant answer is 30 degrees and the second quadrant is 150 degrees. So that gives me these 2 answers here. Now remember, the sine graph repeats itself every 360 degrees. So I need to add 360 onto both of these answers. Okay, so 30 plus 360 is 390, and 150 plus 360 is 510. So I have 4 answers here, and it's actually, if we look at all of the answers are lying between 0 and 720, because remember I was solving for 2x, so 2x lies between 0 and 720, If I had to add another 360 onto this, that would get me 750. So I would be out with the range, my answers would be too big. Likewise, if I had to subtract 360, because remember the sine graph goes all the way down to negative infinity as well. So say I had to subtract 360 from this 30, that would be minus 330 would be an answer. But actually it's not an answer because it would be out with the range because it's less than 0. So I've got my 4 answers here. I now need to divide through it by 2, which gives me 15, 75, 195 and 255. And you can see when I had to solve for x only, up the top here, I was solving between 0 and 360. You can now see that these 4 answers lie between 0 and 360. If we just refer back to the graph, my first answer was 15, so that's a third of the way between 0 and 45, so that's good, that looks as though it's in the right place. We get 75 in here, 195 and 255. So we've got the 4 answers that we were looking for here, so those are our final answers. So if you pause the video just now, and you can copy this one down in your notes jotter. Okay, welcome back folks. Let's take a look at a second example, and as you've probably guessed, this one is going to be in radians because we've done one with degrees. So we want to solve root 2 cos 2x equals 1 for x lying between 0 and pi. So the solution then, if we first look at the graph, so we've got the curve here is the root 2 cos 2x, and then we've got this line y equal to 1. And the solutions are where the line and the curve intersect. So you can see that we've got 2 answers here. Just wait till you hear me stop talking. So like before, I have the multiple angle is 2x, so I'm going to adjust my range this time as well. So it was x lying between 0 and pi, so it's now 2x lying between 0 and 2 pi. I'm going to divide throughout by root 2 to get cos 2x equals 1 over root 2. And again, I've got alarm bells going off in my head because I know that this is one of my exact values. So looking at my cast diagram, cos 2x is positive, so I know that my answers occur in the first and the fourth quadrants. Inverse cos of 1 over root 2 is pi over 4. So again, I've expressed, you can see in my cast diagram here, I've expressed pi and 2 pi in terms of pi over 4s, just to make life a wee bit easier here. So pi over 4 is the answer in the first quadrant. And in the fourth quadrant, it's 8 pi over 4 minus pi over 4, which gives me 7 pi over 4. Now, I was solving for 2x between 0 and 2 pi. Both of these answers lie between 0 and 2 pi. If I had to add another 2 pi on for when the cos graph repeats itself, I would then have 9 pi over 4. Which is out with that range, because 9 pi over 4, remember, is 2 1/4 pi. So it's bigger than that, so that's no use to me. So I'm now going to divide throughout by 2, and that gets me pi over 8 and 7 pi over 8. And you can see from the graph it was 2 answers we were looking for, pi over 8, which is here, and 7 pi over 8, which is here as well. So those are my 2 final answers. So again folks, copy this example down in your jotters before the screen goes blank.